Hey guys, Bearded Rogue here, and today I wanted to talk to you about Kickstarter, something I haven't talked to you about in a while. I think I did a video of it, or about Kickstarter in general, last year during my Vlogust, but this year I wanted to cover some of the projects that I have that I'm still waiting on, and just kind of put into perspective Kickstarter for me, and why I continue to use Kickstarter as a platform. So, the first thing I will say is I have backed 93 projects on Kickstarter, and there are only 2 that I am sure are never coming. The rest of them I'm fairly confident at this point that I will receive at some point in time, even though it will be late. And to say a little bit about that, Kickstarter is not a store, and they say this over and over again, it's not a store, it's not a store. And a lot of the people who go into Kickstarter either don't have a very clear picture of what all will be entailed in bringing a product to market, or, more likely, they have a pretty good idea of what it'll entail, and life happens. Whether that's, storms, or sicknesses, or all sorts of other things can potentially happen to totally derail a Kickstarter, but those are the 2 primary reasons that things don't show up. So, both of the 2 that I have that are definitely not coming fall into that category. The first one is a video game called Haunts the Manse Macabre, and it was a very awesome looking game. It was a turn-based game where one player played as the investigators going into like a creepy haunted house, and the other player played the denizens of said haunted house, the monsters and the various other things. It had a very like B sci-fi movie feel to it. It had this amazing looking Edward Gorey style artwork. Really awesome looking game, and in their case they just kind of got in over their head. They'd done a couple of other games before, but they decided they were going to code this one in a new language because it was the new up-and-coming thing, and the languages they knew weren't as common anymore. And then the chief programmer that they had, who was coding the thing, had to go get a real job because he couldn't afford to work for nothing anymore, and then they couldn't figure it out, and a whole bunch of other nonsense happened. But regardless, that one was officially killed dead by its project creators in March of 2013. So, unfortunately, that one's never going to come, even though it looks amazing, and I really would love to have this game. The second one that I will not be getting is Airborne in Your Pocket. Airborne in Your Pocket, for those who don't know, fell into the Valley Games trap. For those who don't know, Valley Games made a whole bunch of promises and borrowed a whole bunch of money that they didn't pay back or didn't intend to pay back, got themselves sued, and basically went completely out of business. Airborne in Your Pocket was a casualty of that. It's the same designer who did D-Day Dice, which is a really fun solo game. It plays more than that, but I actually prefer it as a solo game. Airborne in Your Pocket is similar. It's very much a solo-style game. It was really popular as a print and play on Board Game Geek. There were some other variations of it, like Zombie in Your Pocket, and it was Airborne in My Pocket, I guess, the original version was, but Airborne in Your Pocket was the new version, but that will never be made. I know that all of the design work, development work, and all of that stuff was done. They created everything, they showed all of that stuff, and then never had the money to release it. So as far as I know, it's completely dead in the water, and it will be dead in the water forever. So those are the only 2 games I know that are not coming at all. So what else am I backing on Kickstarter that I do not have yet? So we're going to go through a list of projects here, and this is not meant to shame the creators whatsoever. I'm patient. I'm more than willing to wait for you guys to get it right, to figure it out, to get me whatever it is that I pledged for once you're able to. I understand life, and I understand being a smaller company or a smaller creator. I also understand the big companies that are juggling lots of projects and take their time to make sure everything's right. So, you know, do what you guys do. I have a very good feeling that all of these are going to eventually make their way to me. So, the first one is a game called Prismata. It is a computer game. It is advertises itself as the hybrid game of pure strategy. This one, I sort of can't say hasn't delivered, because I've actually received the beta version of this game. They constantly update it. They're always working on it. I don't have the final version of this game yet, but I'm very confident that it's eventually going to get to me. It's also extremely awesome. The only real randomness in the game is whether you go first or second, much like chess, as far as the randomness between players. There is randomness in the game in that there are two menus of units, your units that are always there, and then a menu of units that is randomly determined every round, but both players have the same menu of units in the game that they're in. So nobody starts with an advantage. The only difference is one of you goes first and one of you goes second. It's a really cool game, and I highly recommend it. Even now in its like beta unfinished version, it's a fantastic game, and I still pull it out and play it periodically. The next one is Not Dice. Not Dice are gorgeous. I'm very confident I'm going to get this one. I actually saw some of the production copy samples at Gen Con. The people behind it, Matthew O'Malley specifically, has been working really hard to make sure that the manufacture of these is fantastic. It's a brand new product. Dice like this don't exist, so he's had to work with a lot of manufacturing issues that other board game companies don't have to, because it's a unique item, and so I'm more than willing to give him the time he needs to make it. I'm just excited to finally get my copy, especially now that I've seen them in person, and I can tell everybody that they are gorgeous. Let's see. Next is Dark Rock Ventures. Dark Rock Ventures from Magic Meeple. I am absolutely certain I'm getting this one because they're getting ready to start shipping it. I've actually seen the physical production copies at Gen Con. I know that the initial group have reached the US and kind of been sent out to people, so I know that mine is on its way to me shortly, and I am very excited. I actually did a sort of review for this one, and it's a really good game. It's a worker placement game with some pressure luck mechanisms in it, which is something you don't often see, and a lot of luck mitigation. Either way, I'm very, very excited to get this one in my hands, and it will be soon. Soon. The next is BattleCon Online. BattleCon Online exists. They're beta testing it at this point. They've been beta testing it for a while. However, like with other computer software or other products, this is a brand new thing that they're just now bringing into the world. So I'm willing to be patient if it'll let me play one of my top 3 games of all time online against various other people in a format that isn't an Excel spreadsheet or play-by-post. I'm super excited about it. Every time they post updates about it, it's a little bit closer and a little bit cooler, and so I'm very excited about that. Next one is Tiny Epic Western. Tiny Epic Western, I know, will be on my way. I've seen production copies. It exists in the world. So it's not even behind schedule yet. Like, it's still on time, on its way to me. I'm very excited about that. It's supposed to be here next month in September. And right now it looks like they're probably on schedule for that. Gamelin has always been very good about getting things out close to the schedule that they say they will, and so I'm super excited about that one. Villages of Valeria. Villages of Valeria from Daily Magic Games. Yet another game in the Valeria world, and I know that this one will make it to me because, again, I know that they're working on it and have been, and I'm super excited about that one on its way. Next is Sentinels of the Multiverse Oblivion. This is definitely going to make its way to me. It's scheduled for next year because they're doing a whole bunch of stuff, a big box to contain everything in the game, a brand new expansion with its own rules. They did some awesome foil versions of the various IDs that exist in the game that they've collected over time. They did a lot in this Kickstarter. It's the big grand finale send-off for Sentinels of the Multiverse. Greater Than Games has never let me down, and I certainly don't expect them to start now. So I'm pretty sure that come January, this will be sitting on my doorstep for me, and I'm super looking forward to having all of the Sentinels of the Multiverse ever printed at that point. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shadows of the Past. This is a game that I backed because it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the involvement of the original creator, the involvement of Kevin Wilson, it in and of itself, all of those things, and now the fact that I've actually worked with IDW and met the people behind the game, I'm even more excited about it than I was when I was backing it in the Kickstarter. I know this game will be on its way. They've shown scenarios, they've been doing rule books, all the miniature sculpts look amazing. I've seen the actual box artwork mock-up at the at Gen Con. I know it's on its way, and I so cannot wait to have it in my hands. This is going to be an awesome game, and I'm really excited about it. Next is Aeon's End from Action Phase. I saw this game at the speed dating event last year at Origins when it was called Discord, and thought it was really freaking cool then. Action Phase does what they always do and take a really cool game and develop the hell out of it and turn it into an absolutely amazing product. And I'm super excited to have this one in my hands. It's right now expected to be here before the end of the year, and I believe Action Phase when they say that. I would not at all be surprised if I am playing this at BGG Con. That's one of my big hopes. But Action Phase, now Indie Boards and Cards, they've kind of merged since then. Always have delivered on their Kickstarters, and I'm super excited about that one. Quests of Valeria, more daily Magic games. This was a smaller game in the Valeria line, and the fact that they launched it before Villages of Valeria was actually like a done deal and shipped doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some people when companies launch a Kickstarter before they've fulfilled their previous one, but honestly, for a smaller company, there's really only so many options you have. You don't have the upfront capital, which is why you're going to Kickstarter in the first place, and so it doesn't bother me in the slightest that they launched this one before delivering on Villages. I'm sure that I'm going to get both of them, and both of them are going to be awesome games, and I have no worries about that. Tack from James Ernst, the game based on the game created in the novels by Patrick Rothfuss. Again, I have no worries about whether or not this one's going to show up, and when it shows up, it will be beautiful. I like abstract games. This is a very awesome abstract game. I watched a lot of the strategy videos online and the first ever tournament online before I decided to back it, and it's really cool. And I'm going to get a set of it that I'm going to be able to keep, and is going to be gorgeous, and I'm going to have it, you know, to pass down to people if I really want to. It's going to be that good, and so I'm super excited about that one. The remake of System Shock. This blows my mind. Night Dive Studios is doing a phenomenal thing for people everywhere. The original founder of the company was leaving his job for one of the major video game AAA publishers and was going on a vacation down to Mexico and decided to fill a laptop up with all of the games that made him fall in love with gaming so that he could remember why he gamed, and he couldn't get copies of System Shock 2. This distressed him to no end, so he set about acquiring the rights and re-releasing System Shock 2, and they did a phenomenal job with it, even going so far as to add, like, co-op modes. And System Shock 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of the seminal games of my late teenage, early 20s years. I played the crap out of it. I've beaten it using exclusively the wrench, just to give you some idea of how many times I've played it. Them taking System Shock, its predecessor, which had a very clunky interface and, graphics of its time, even though its thinking was way ahead of its time, and updating it for the modern era, giving it a new graphical overhaul, streamlining things, adding some modern-day design touches to it, makes it an absolutely must-have as far as I'm concerned. Right now they're estimating delivery in December of next year, and they can have all the time they want. As long as System Shock Remastered ends up in my hands before I die, they're, like, as far as I'm concerned, some of the greatest human beings on the planet. The next one is the Millennium Blades reprint Kickstarter. I already have my copy of Millennium Blades. It's sitting on my shelf. It's awesome. I've played it. I look forward to playing it more. This one was to fund the reprint, and in order to do that, they also kicked in some extra content for people who already had the game, in order to bring all of us back to kind of help get it back on store shelves. Very worth it. Level 99 has amazing Kickstarters. They always kind of fall victim to their own success, and that they end up putting more in the box than they can ever possibly do anything with. This game is so totally worth it, and I'm so excited to have even more to cram into that box. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I'm going to have to get, like, some sort of a storage solution for it like I did for BattleCon, because there's no way it's going to contain everything that's eventually on its way. The next thing is Dig Down Dwarf 2nd Edition. I'm a big fan of dwarves. I kind of resemble them, if you hadn't noticed. And the original version of Dig Down Dwarf on Kickstarter was one of the games that I kind of missed. It was on Kickstarter during a time when lots of other things were on Kickstarter. I can't even remember exactly when, but I know that I could not back it, and I was heartbroken. However, it did well enough for the company that it is now being brought back. The small company of one, Jason Glover's Grey Gnome Games. And so I'm super excited that I was able to get in on this one. It looks like the gameplay's improved over 1st edition. The artwork is now amazing, like Hobbit inspired artwork. It looks gorgeous. It looks like it will play better than even the 1st edition did, and so I'm super happy that that one's going to be on its way. He always comes through with his Kickstarters. I have absolutely zero worries about it showing up on my doorstep. And when it does, I'm going to have some fun mining some gems and pretending to be the dwarf that I resemble. Next is Fire of Eidolon. Fire of Eidolon I did a video review of before Vlogust hit, actually, while the Kickstarter was still up. It's a co-op game that is kind of like Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert Plus, with a dungeon crawling theme. So it's a slightly meatier co-op than either of the previously mentioned games, but not on the gigantic level of a Pandemic Legacy or a Yggdrasil or any of the other very large co-ops. It's a very simple mechanics, very fun, very cool game. And I said very a lot in that sentence, so I'm sorry, but I'm excited about this one because I've actually gotten to play it. I still have the prototype copy, and I've still pulled it out a couple of times and played it, so I don't foresee that changing once I have the gorgeous retail version in my hands either. And last but not least is Bitbox. So, my gaming shelves, which you see behind me in a lot of my other videos, are full. I have a 5x5 Expedite shelf. They don't make the Expedite anymore. They've replaced it with Calyx. And when I heard that Calyx probably wasn't going to go up to 5x5 in size, I went ahead and bought an Expedite before it left. But now I'm starting to run out of room, and Bitbox makes a lot of sense to me. I've been looking for a board game storage solution. I'm not overly attached to the boxes I'm much more attached to the components. I just needed a way to store them, organize them, and then carry them from place to place, and Bitbox came along and solved all of those problems. So I'm currently not filling my entire shelving unit with it. I plan to eventually, but I'm in for 5 Bitboxes and 1 Bitbox mobile, because I figure filling a full row will allow me to greatly reduce the amount of stuff on my shelves, because each cubby inside my shelf right now holds 4, maybe 5 of the larger games, and if these guys are even half of what they promise, of being able to do 8 to 16 games. If they're only 8, I've already doubled the amount of games that I can store on my shelves without having overflow to other parts of the house or anything else. At which point, you know, I might be able to acquire some more games without having to cull every time I acquire. We'll see. Who knows? I may continue culling games. It's a new thing for me. But Bitbox is going to make my life a lot easier. Also, in transporting things back and forth to game nights, rather than carrying stacks of boxes or trying to cram 2 or 3 boxes in a over-the-shoulder bag, I'll be able to bring a lot more stuff with me. I'm also looking forward to being able to put prototypes in them. I have a feeling that the Bitbox Mobile will be fantastic for prototype carrying from place to place, and so that's something I'm super looking forward to as well. But that's it, guys. That's what's left. So, as you can see, most of the games that I have, or most of the things that I have waiting, are pretty good bets for making their way to me. I don't know if I'm just good at picking winners in general, or if I'm much more choosy about what I back, but I haven't really had a problem with Kickstarter as a platform. I only have 2 unfulfilled, and those were both early in my Kickstarter history. They're the oldest 2 projects right now. All of their contemporaries have delivered a long time ago. You know, I mean, heck, Haunts was 3 years ago, and it was the, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the 13th Kickstarter that I backed out of 93. So yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, Kickstarter, I love it. I love it as a platform. I will continue to use it. We're now at the point now where we've hit so many things on Kickstarter that I cannot possibly back them all. So I'm going to end the video by saying, if I didn't name your game, or if I didn't say something that you've put up on Kickstarter as one of the projects that I backed and that I'm waiting on, please don't be upset. I am one person who only has so much money, and while I would love to support everybody, especially the little guy, it's just not economically feasible. So, for those of you who wonder, I also do a lot of Kickstarter type stuff like retweeting or posting or commenting, especially if I've played your game. If I've actually played your game and enjoyed it, even if I haven't backed it, I will advertise, for lack of a better term. I have absolutely no problem in pointing at other people's content and saying, hey, this is a great thing, you should totally get in on this, or, you know, this isn't my style, but you guys might love it, go check it out. And so that's a lot of what I like to do when it comes to Kickstarter. So if I didn't back your game, I'm sorry. I hope it funded. I hope it made I hope it succeeded beyond your wildest dreams. But you know that there's more than one way to support people on Kickstarter. And that's that, guys. I just figured this would be an interesting one since it's something that I'm into. And we're coming down to the last couple days of Vlogust. I have one more video after this, and we'll be recording that pretty soon. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Bearded Rogue out.